Okay, let's move on to the next topic. We've touched upon this already. It's about balancing global integration and local responsiveness. We also had the same dilemma when we talked about performance management and many of the other HR functions. How to balance global integration and in relation to local responsiveness. Yeah, we have some major forces why companies pursue global standardization, a global approach towards compensation. Here are some of the main factors. The first one, I think that would be rather minor one, would be economies of scales. So if you offer the same compensation practice across different companies and countries, that's fairly easy to implement. You set it up once and then you implement it everywhere. It could also be, of course, then localized, but here simply economies of scales will reduce cost. Simplicity. What is more important than probably the other factors, which would be gaining global alignment. That's a very important aspect, because you really would like to have one company, strategically aligned, globally aligned, and that also via a compensation system. As we talked in performance management, also global alignment would be important. Then company can then have a consistent global performance management. Based on a consistent global performance management, we have a consistent global compensation system. That would promote that integration, harmonization, good for coordination, and it's also good for internal knowledge sharing, because people are not only evaluated, but they're also being compensated in the same way. Also important would be to building a unique firm capability, because you would set a common mindset throughout your organization and common objectives. If your company has a main objective of pursuing profitability, and that can also be then instilled in employees via a compensation system, via a performance management system, and then again also through this compensation system that you really can pursue and follow these directions. Or if it's another objective such as environment friendliness and so forth, then also that can be well aligned with a compensation system. And like also as we talked about gaining global alignment, that will also then help to develop learning objectives and developmental goals. In terms also related to global leadership, it's all well aligned in terms of global best practices. However, there are many reasons why such a global approach may not be possible or may need some kind of adjustment. These factors we already talked before, such as fluctuating currency rates, different inflation rates, different local salary levels that need to be adjusted downward or upward. Downward because companies would like to save costs. Upward because in order to attract these top talent, you need to pay attractive salaries. And then we have local government requirements. Simply you have to comply with, otherwise you face severe fines, punishment, or even lose your license to do business in a certain country. And then, as we talked already quite a bit about cultural preferences, because employees in different countries have certain preferences. And if you offer some incentives, some compensation aspects, which do not attract or motivate people, then, or may even have opposing results, then you have a problem. So you need to localize, you need to adapt. And then some other factors also which we need to consider is we have a lot of heterogeneity, so differences across countries, but also within countries. And that's also very important to consider when designing such global programs, because the main objective is still to attract, motivate, and retain talent, global talent. So here we have to make some kind of adjustments to make it attractive then also for employees. So some need for flexibility. So that's the balance. We have globalization practices on the one hand, and then also local responsiveness pressures on the other hand. So what companies then can do is, they have a core set of compensation practices that are really important, that are important for strategic alignment, that are matched with the performance management systems in place. Yeah, and they will be globally standardized. Yeah, I gave the example, maybe a performance profit orientation. Yeah, that would be also then related to performance-based rewards. Yeah, and that would be closely aligned. It could be also another objective. And we talked about long-term survival, job security. If that's the main purpose of the company, then that should be part, yeah, also of these benefits that companies offer. So first comes, what are the core objectives, core strategy? How is that aligned with performance management? How is that aligned with compensation practices? There should be alignment. What are really the core practices? Then we have different set of practices where we can consider some kind of modification. First of all companies need to comply with the law. Yeah, I mean, there's still some companies say, yeah, we don't need to comply with the law, we pay the fines, so be it. Yeah, and that only may be possible in certain countries where they don't have strict legal enforcement. Yeah, but in Europe, in most industrialized economies, you have very strong legal enforcement. You simply have to comply. Yeah, and then, of course, companies need to comply with legal requirements in certain countries. It can be an American company. They do not offer health insurance to employees. They do not offer other social benefits, but if they do business in Europe, they have to. Yeah, there's no matter what. They have to comply with also local conditions and offer local benefits because they're legally mandated. And there might be some wiggle room. To some extent they may, yeah, but still. So the first core is related to the company's own core policies and practices. And the second, the crafted set, refers to environmental, country environment mandated and forced practices. Yeah, companies need to implement. And then at the outer layer, we have what we call choice set. So that means in that regard, companies can make some adjustment or can maintain global best practices as they desire. But the idea would be, because you would like to appeal and adjust to some extent, yeah, that you offer some kind of adjustment to local conditions. Here are some examples. Yeah, cafeteria-style benefits. Maybe employees can choose. Yeah, or maybe the company discusses with its employees what do employees would like to receive as benefits. So it could be that in Mexico, breakfast and lunch is something they really would like to receive as a benefit, as a free benefit in the company. So yeah, you can offer it. Or in some car companies in Germany, Germans like cars. They want a company car. And then maybe you offer subsidized company cars, which is really important in Germany. It's not important in Switzerland and many other countries, yeah, but many German managers, maybe not you, but the 40, 50-year-old ones, they really appreciate company cars. Yeah, and then you can offer it because that's what locals demand, because of local preferences. Or maybe other things, yeah, and that can be either negotiated between all employees and the companies or maybe on an individual basis. Now, we talked also in some countries, low power distance, they would like to negotiate and have some choice, yeah, choosing their benefits, and then companies can provide that. Yeah, I think that is probably one of the key messages. So there's some areas where we have core global best practices, yeah, because that's the corporate strategy, corporate vision, and should be aligned then with different HR practices. Then there's legally mandated ones, and the rest, there's some wiggle room for local adaptations.